Hey e-commerce marketing podcast listener, I wanted to let you know that we have created 16 e-commerce marketing videos for you. You can download these free videos by visiting ecommercemarketingpodcast.com/videos or by texting the word videos to +1 480 418 1411. These step-by-step video marketing tutorials will teach you how to drive more traffic to your e-commerce website, how to get more backlinks to your e-commerce website, and how to optimize your website to get more paid customers. Get the videos right now by visiting ecommercemarketingpodcast.com/videos or by texting videos to +1 480 418 1411. Welcome to the e-commerce marketing podcast. Today's guest is Jeff Coyne from Seller Labs. Welcome to the podcast, Jeff.
Hey, thank you, Robert. Thanks for having me on.
So if you can just tell us what you do at Seller Labs and what's your history with selling products online.
Sure, thank you. Seller Labs is a software provider providing different software applications for sellers on the Amazon platform. We provide software that helps you optimize your listing, generate reviews, analyze your data, manage your sponsored product ads, and other, functions of owning your product on the Amazon platform. And all of our products are SaaS-based, meaning that they're monthly service applications that you can, try different applications and, use the one that works best for your business. In terms of myself and selling physical products, we started selling physical products on Amazon back in around 2011, 2012. We were buying most of our products at that point in time from USPS auction. That's where you would go and you would find all the products that, fell off the truck. And we were selling all types of products back then, mainly electronics and books. And we really kind of transitioned our business from that to the software business. And then as of lately, we've been, individually kind of working on different physical products, private label, owning the brand, managing our own. Our main business is really selling software, but a few of us do dabble in the physical products business.
Okay, so it does sound that you do have experience within selling as far as dealing with the software and also selling the different physical products. So before you got into the software, did you create and customize your own application and that's when you decided to start selling it? Or how did you transition from selling to developing software?
Yeah, that's a really good question. And, Robert, I think that really good software solves problems that you have. And then once you've solved a problem that you have, you can then expand that to solve other people's problems. And so that's why we still sell, and that's why we still have active seller accounts. It's not our main business. We're not trying to grow multi-million-dollar physical product businesses, but we do sell so that we can keep a pulse on kind of the changes that are going on in the marketplace and kind of how our tools and technologies can help a seller. We really started off trying to solve a problem that we had. So we were selling textbooks and books, and what was happening was every time we would sell a book, we would get a bad seller rating from the book. And we would give a proper description of how the book was, but we would still get, people complaining that our books had water damage, even though they bought a book with water damage. And so we were looking for a tool that would allow us to target messages to people that were buying good books and asking them for reviews. Mm-hmm. And we would be able to use that to kind of combat the people that were writing bad reviews for us. And so that is really where our business started in our first product, Feedback Genius. It was really developed as an internal tool to help us solve a problem. After we launched that tool, we had an opportunity to see what else was in the marketplace. And when we realized that our tool was something that could help a lot of other people, we really looked to expand the software side of what we did.
Okay. And talking about problems, one of the main problems that a lot of businesses struggle and always try to solve is how to get customers and how to market themselves. Since you stay on the pulse of marketing and what's happening in the marketplace, I wanted us today to talk about some of the top strategies and changes and different tricks that businesses are actually using right now to grow and get customers. So what are some of the strategies that you've seen currently in the marketplace?
Yeah, so you're talking specifically about Amazon. Let's talk about Amazon first, and then we'll kind of expand outward from there. If you're talking specifically about Amazon, it really comes down to making sure you have a properly optimized listing. And that's something that a lot of sellers hear, but they don't actually take the time to do. And if you don't have a properly optimized listing, then you're not going to show up in Amazon search. And in general, you're not going to show up in search, whether it's Amazon or Google, if the search engines cannot properly index your listing. And so on Amazon, you want to make sure you have a very clear title that describes what you do. You want to make sure that you have bullet points, and you want to make sure that you're also filling in what they call the back-end keywords. And the back-end keywords are where a lot of sellers on Amazon miss, and it's an opportunity to pick up a lot of additional search for your products. That is one of the biggest things that we've seen sellers lately missing, and a big opportunity for improvement. When it comes to general marketing and promotion, we're seeing a lot of movement towards influencer marketing and the ability for sellers to put their products in front of people who have an audience. And so, back 5-6 years ago, you used to just go find a blogger that could potentially blog about your product. But today, you're actually going out and you're looking for a mom, a sister, a brother, an aunt, an uncle, somebody who has an audience on Instagram, Facebook, Pinterest, and you're looking for them to interact with your product and to share your product and your brand with you. And it's pretty amazing and quite cool if you really stop and think about what you can do today that you weren't able to do. You had to, go after the top bloggers to get momentum on your product before. But now, a kid who likes playing video games could have a really big channel that everybody's following on YouTube. I mean, heck, there's a whole website called Twitch where we just follow people playing video games and we watch them. And I found out the other day these guys are all paid to actually play video games all day. It's quite amazing to me. And so it's really about finding what your product is and where your audience is, and then determining how you can actually build a story to engage with your audience. And that's what I think is most important for sellers today who are looking to put their product and to get it out and marketed.
Okay, so you've mentioned two strategies, and we'll kind of break them down into more details. The first one was the Amazon listing and how you need to optimize it. And then the second one was the influencer marketing and influencer outreach. So since you just last mentioned the influencer outreach and marketing, let's deal with that one first. Are there any other tips as far as how to find these influencers? What's the best outreach method for getting to them? And how do you convince them that they should be pushing your product?
Yeah, that's a great question. So there's a couple of websites that you can use to kind of find influencers. So you can do it the old-fashioned way, right? You can go into YouTube or Instagram or Pinterest, and you can just start kind of digging through, and you can start to message these guys and gals, and you can start asking them. You can just flat out ask them, like, hey, if I send you my product, would you be interested in highlighting it on your show? And there's a really good chance that you'll get some momentum from doing that. But, it's a game of ask 100 people, get one response. Mm-hmm. There's some other websites that are out there. One's called gen.video. One's called content.blvd, Content Boulevard. I think it's contentboulevard.com or content.blvd. It's something like that. I don't remember. There's another one called FameBit. And what these sites do is they actually index influencers, and then based on how much influence somebody has, so influence is the size of their audience or something like that, you actually pay them to highlight your product. And this could be as inexpensive as $250, or it could be several $1,000, just depending on what you're looking for them to do and how big of an audience they have. And that's what's cool about today, man. It's such an amazing world, because if I want to be an influencer and I have people who will watch my channel, I can get paid to try things and to show them. And brands, are paying people left and right to do this. I mean, you see a lot of these companies that are sending you boxes with, different samples of products in it so you can try different things. And then they ask them to go online and to read and to write about it and blog about it and put pictures up and hashtag it and everything else that you're supposed to do to kind of share things socially. And so if you have a beauty product, a fitness product, a home health product, a home kitchen product, something like that, these avenues work great because there's a lot of people who can highlight your product. And part of what you're looking for is the access to their audience for the driving of sales. And part of what you're looking for is just somebody to generate content for you, because having the content allows you to then use the content to run Facebook ads, post it in LinkedIn, and to talk about your brand, hashtag it, put it onto Instagram. And as you start to expand each of these channels with your message and with your brand, you're going to start engaging with your audience more and more.
Okay, and how much time does this marketing strategy and campaign take, and how costly is it compared to other marketing strategies?
So if you're just looking at it on a single basis, I could set up and run an ad for a video in probably less than 10 minutes. And then it's probably going to take me another maybe hour or so to find the right person to promote my video. It's going to cost me somewhere $250 and up to pay them to do my video. And then I'm going to have to ship them my product. So I'll be able to give them some bullet points, like these are the features of my product that I want you to highlight. Mm-hmm. But I'm really going to leave the creative juices, if you will, up to the individuals that I end up talking to, because I want their authenticity of excitement for my product. I don't want it to be a very scripted type of thing. And so for me personally, the less scripted it is, the less it looks like a commercial, the better quality of content that I've generated.
Yeah, and then that way it's more authentic, and it doesn't seem like it's pushy. The audience already trusts that influencer. Correct. And they'll be able to better receive it, and they won't raise their eyebrow and just be like, okay, yeah, this is just an obvious ad. And some of these influencers do always say whether they're doing an ad or not.
Exactly. They have their own rules that they need to follow. And so, you just have to kind of let them kind of manage those things that they need to manage.
Okay. And now let's go back to the Amazon listings and optimizing for listings. Other than the title, the description, and the keywords, what are some other ways to optimize your listing so that you can get more eyeballs and get more customers when they're searching for your product?
Yeah, so one tip that we recommend, and we actually have a tool that helps you do this. Our tool is called Scope, SCOPE. It's part of one of the Seller Labs tools. And it's the ability to actually look at your competitor's listing and determine what keywords are driving sales for your competitor. And so what happens is that a lot of times you have a product and you call it a widget, but somebody else is actually calling it a doohickey, right? And so a great example of this, and we like to use this, is the apple slicer. And so if you have an apple slicer, but you're calling it a fruit wedger, a fruit wedger does the same thing as an apple slicer, but you're actually using the wrong terminology for your product. So you thought that it's a fruit wedger, but as you start to look at all of your competitors' products, you realize that the top keyword that they're ranking for is actually an apple slicer. You can then go change your title and your listing to include the word apple slicer, because if you don't tell Amazon or any search engine that you're an apple slicer, you're never going to show up for apple slicer. And while that example might seem a little bit silly and everyone's like, well, of course you're an apple slicer if you're a fruit wedger, a lot of times people don't put the right keywords into their product. And so if you have a product that works for wine, does it also work for red wine and white wine? Does it also work for other types of liquors, you have to think about these things. And it's hard for us as business owners to think about everything that our product can be used for. And therefore, we actually want to start looking at our competitors. And by determining what keywords our competitors rank for is going to show us what keywords are important to the audience. And then I can use those keywords to improve my listings. On Amazon, another way to drive sales is through their sponsored product ads. And it's very critical when you're doing sponsored product ads, if you want to have an efficiency of your advertising dollar cost, you want to use your competitors' keywords to build your sponsored ads. So if you go through Amazon's normal channel of doing what they call auto-targeting and using Amazon's system to generate ads, you spend a lot of money for Amazon to eventually tell you what keywords are important. If you bypass that whole process and you actually use your competitors' keywords, the words that they're ranking for that are driving sales, you actually can start your advertising and bring your advertising cost down significantly. And I use an example that we had a customer who was running sponsored ads on their own. They were at what's called a 28% advertising cost of sale on Amazon. They stopped doing the advanced targeting. They used our tool to generate the keywords, and they were able to run a campaign at 7% advertising cost of sale. It generated more sales in the first 3 days than the previous campaign had generated in 60 days at a tenth of the cost. And so if you're smarter about what you're doing and you're feeding the engine what will drive sales, you get better sales results from it.
And how long do you think, when you make changes with the listing, with the title, keywords, etc., how long does it take to index in Amazon so that you start showing up for searches? Like, is it a 2-month period? Is it immediate? How long does it take Amazon to index those changes?
So we had a customer who had a product, and we were very early on with our product. So I walked him through how to do all of this process. And this was at 5 o'clock at night. By 10 o'clock the next morning, he had started generating sales on a product by only updating his keywords that had no sales for the previous 4 weeks. So he had a product that had very little activity, and activity in Amazon is called page sessions. That's views to the page. So it had very little activity. All he did was update his keywords, and his activity rose, and sales were generated in less than 24 hours. Now, if you're doing sponsored product ads, you might start generating sales within that same 24-hour time period. But because of the way Amazon reports their data for sponsored product ads, it typically takes you 2 to 3 days to see whether sponsored product ads are making an impact, because there's an automatic 48-hour delay in all of the reporting.
Okay. If listeners wanted to reach you, what's the best method of getting in touch with you?
Yeah, the best way to get in touch with me is sellerlabs.com, sellerlabs.com. You can also reach me on LinkedIn. You can do a search for Jeff Cohen. I'm pretty easily found within LinkedIn. A lot of people find me. I encourage you to kind of reach out to me, tell me that you heard me on the podcast, ask me a question about, Amazon or what you're trying to do, and love to try to help.
The last question I have, and I usually ask all the guests, is what is the one thing an e-commerce business can do right now? So in your case, what is the one thing a seller on Amazon can do to get more customers and also from outreach?
Yeah, I mean, I don't want to sound like a broken record, but it's been so amazing the results our customers have seen by spending 15 to 20 minutes updating their listing. And sometimes, I used to run a multi-million-dollar retail website called textbooks.com, and I've been in the retail e-commerce game for a number of years. And I think that what we have to realize as sellers in this space is that sometimes making the little changes are the ones that can drive us the biggest results. And so we sometimes get a little bit too in-depth into what we're trying to do and too scientific of what we're trying to do, and we don't just kind of we miss the obvious, right? So we miss the obvious. And so in the web world, missing the obvious is, are you updating your title tags, your metadata, your H1 tags on your website? It's amazing how many times I see websites that still have these basic fundamental problems that is really SEO 101. On Amazon, it's updating your product listing and making sure you have all of your fields filled in. And those are something that a seller can do today by spending, an hour on their product and going through and looking at this, whether it be their own website, whether it be on Amazon, whether it be on somebody else's marketplace. It's a great kind of check and balance to see, have you done everything that's necessary to give yourself the best chance for success?
Thank you for being on the podcast, Jeff.
Thanks, Robert. I appreciate it, and I look forward to catching up with you again in the future.
Thank you for listening to the E-commerce Marketing Podcast. Join the E-commerce Marketing Podcast Facebook group to learn, connect, collaborate, and grow with other e-commerce marketers at ecommercemarketingpodcast.com/FB. ecommercemarketingpodcast.com/FB. Subscribe to us on iTunes by searching for E-commerce Marketing Podcast, and please leave a rating and a review. Thank you for listening. See you next time.